Hey everybody, it's Justin Rohner over at Agriscaping.com. This is for Pharmacy Friday with a capital F. So right in my backyard, I'm going to talk about something that for Arizona is a really effective and very helpful plant. And it's because it helps with scorpion stings. So it's one of the only things out there that I'm aware of. You can grow right in your garden, and this goes for pretty much anywhere, but you can create a poultice out of it. Basically crushing down the leaves, making kind of a paste out of it. Sometimes you can dry the leaves down and then add a little bit of warm water to it, create a little poultice. Anyway, you make a paste out of the leaves, and this particular plant, it literally helps get rid of the sting and the effect of the sting of a scorpion sting. So if you need help for the scorpion sting, this is something that you'd probably love to have in your garden. It's also something that helps with other skin diseases, rheumatic swelling. It's also something, a good wash treatment. It's something you can put on the skin, but you got to be careful with it because it's a very misrepresented plant out there in the world. It's a plant that, when I first bought this home, was actually a volunteer growing in one of my potted plants that I had in one of my corners. And I saw it growing at first, and I was like, that's a weird little plant. It's got a little weird little waxy leaf. Smelled kind of like diesel fuel. The leaf kind of smelled like diesel fuel. And within 4 months, it grew to about 14 feet tall, with all these beautiful yellow and orange trumpet flowers on it. The hummingbirds would come around and drink the little nectar from it, and they seemed to love it. And it attracted the wonderful hummingbirds in our yard. And so I thought, man, this is a great plant to have. And the reason I've avoided telling you exactly what it is I'm going to show it to you right now. So I'm going to grab a leaf of it. So this is down underneath my... I'll show you where it's actually growing in a second. So here's some of the leaves of some little baby plants that are growing in my garden. So you can see these, and they do have a little bit of it. Smells like diesel fuel. It's a really interesting plant, kind of a waxy leaf. If you can guess what it is, type it in the box as you're watching this thing. It's kind of a fun little thing to do. I'd love to kind of see little texts as they come up and stuff. But here's the plant, yellow trumpet flower, and kind of a waxy type leaf. Grows really fast in the summertime. And the answer to this plant, which when I had some Mormon missionaries over in my backyard many years ago looking at this plant, trying to get them to guess what it was, once I told them what it was, they said, I'm going to go get an axe. I'll go get a shovel. We're going to dig this thing out. And we laughed about that for a while, but it's tobacco. So wild tobacco is quite an interesting plant. Now, taken internally in your body, it's a natural narcotic. And so this thing obviously has some issues when it comes to your own health on the internal, but on the external, it's interesting what it can help you then alleviate in terms of pain and stuff like that. So when used properly, pretty much any plant has a purpose, but you got to use it in the right way. So tobacco, yeah, you can make smoke out of it. It's a narcotic. You can do some other things like that. But when used as a poultice, it's good for actually relieving pain, actually quickening the process of improving healing from bruising, and again, rheumatic swelling and scorpion stings. So there you go. That's the pharmacy plant of the day. Use sparingly, use correctly. And where I've got it growing is right underneath my blackberries right now. Now, these were volunteers. Let's see if I can pan down and show you where they're at. There we go. So here they are right over here. These are the little guys, and this is their little home. And so these little plants grow themselves pretty well. Another really curious thing about them that we've really loved about it is the leaves, when they break down and you get them into your garden, they actually deter the growth of any plant, which means that on the seed side, so if you want a natural means to deter weeds from growing, get some mulch from the leaves of a tobacco plant. So tobacco mulch. So for me, the greatest medicinal value for me, because I don't get stung by scorpions often, but I do live in a place where scorpions live, so it's nice to have on hand. But my favorite and most useful thing is the tobacco mulch. We actually use underneath areas where we don't want any seeds to grow. We only want starts to grow, and it literally it's a natural, not an herbicide. What's the word for it when you have a plant? Man, this must be a long week, which is absolutely true. But the a preemergent, so it's a natural preemergent herbicide, is the tobacco mulch. And it lasts for years. In the place where we had the original plant that was 14 feet tall, we ended up cutting it down about 2 years later. But it grew for a number of years. We let the seeds even fall. We collected a bunch of the seeds. We had no other plants growing underneath that for that entire time. And here we are. That was back in about 2006, 2007, 2006, 2007. And here we are even now in 2017. So 10 years later, that area still is very resilient to growing any seeds. And that's just from tobacco mulch. So again, if you like growing starts like I do rather than growing from seed, this might be a good mulch for you to deter all those other things from growing in that space, because it just stops those things from growing. So anyway, that's what it is. Tobacco. There's your plant of the day for Pharmacy Friday with a capital F. Hopefully you can find some really healthy things to be snacking on in your garden. Not maybe this thing, but you can definitely use it. When a scorpion stings, this is where I go. Have a great weekend.